The topic we're debating today is unilateral military force by the United States is justified to prevent regimes from subjugating peaceful nations. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, stated Dr. Martin Luther King. The United States, as the world's sole superpower, has the responsibility to prevent harmful regimes from subjugating peaceful nations. It is important for the United States to be able to intervene in international issues if needed to prevent the killing or subjugation of innocent nations. The invasion of a nation causes the deaths of millions of innocent civilians and the deaths of many soldiers only trying to save their country from the perpetrators. The United States has the power to prevent such cases from happening. If we prevent the United States from being able to exercise the right of enforcing military action, that will only put the world in more danger than it already is in. The United States being able to intervene freely between the conflicts between nations and regimes will only bolster our standing in the world and uphold human rights. The United States can be a deterring force to prevent the threats of nations fighting. We could have saved the lives of thousands in Ukraine and Russia by preemptively intervening in the war. War is a horrendous tragedy that we as a nation have the power to prevent from happening or can minimize the effects. Unilateral military force doesn't only have to be in a fight, it can also be used for humanitarian aid. Humanitarian aid is a key factor in the decision of unilateral military force. It can help feed the starving or vaccinate and cure diseases of those who can't go to a hospital. So we can help those who need it the most. People often mistake unilateral military force as a brute force attack against another nation, but that is not always true. It is not only used for humanitarian aid, but its main purpose is to protect nations from harmful attackers. The power to prevent mothers and fathers from losing their sons and daughters is something very few nations have. We, the United States, have such power. In Libya, the United States successfully completed their goal of preventing the massacre of civilians. In the future, we can be a deterrent to prevent nations from fighting. JFK once said, "The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it. There's one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender or submission." Well, neither should other nations, especially since we have the power to assist them in fighting back for their freedom. If we strip this power from ourselves, we are wasting a very versatile tool that will only benefit us to keep, as it in no way harms us as a nation. Once a nation is conquered or annexed, the citizens are often no longer treated like humans, even if international law tries to prevent it. For women, this may include mass raping, prostitution, child prostitution, and factory work. For men, this may include slavery or horrendous work conditions. For children, this may include all of the above, and that takes away their future. If we, as a nation, decided to stop preventing such tragedies, we would no longer be able to rightfully say we are a superpower. If there is a risk of a threat harming the families of the United States, we would instantly jump to stop that problem, so why should we not help others from that threat? It is the United States' responsibility to prevent harmful regimes from subjugating peaceful nations, even if we must use unilateral military force. Unilateral military force should not always be the first option, but should always be a well-sharpened tool that we as a country have in our vast arsenal. We can prevent nations from losing their peace, hold our standing in the world, and most importantly, we can save innocents from living or dying in tragedy. Thank you.
323.